Hi everybody, this is Linda. Welcome to Nature at Home, and today we're going to show you how to make some tissue paper flowers. So hold on and let's get all our supplies together. So the first flower we're going to make is the paper flower. I've got a couple versions right here. And what you're going to need besides paper, you're going to need a pair of scissors to cut with. You're going to need something for a stem. You could use a pipe cleaner. You could use a long toothpick. You could use a popsicle stick. Or you could even use a stick you find outside, as long as it's not any bigger or round than the popsicle stick. So the first step is we need a square. Now I have rectangular paper here, so I'm going to show you how to make rectangular paper into a square. So you're going to take the corner and fold it down nice and evenly to this edge right here. Fold it down. Then we're going to cut this line right here. So I'm going to cut that. And when I open it up, we will have a square. So this is all the paper we're going to need for one flower. Next thing I'm going to do is fold it in half this way. I'm going to actually cut this line right here because I'm going to end up with 4 squares to make the layers of my flower. So 1, 2, we'll fold those 2 in half one more time. So we now have 4 pieces. So each piece is now going to be folded the exact same way. So we're going to fold it in half. We're going to fold it again. And then where they all come together right here, we're going to make a triangle. So we have the triangle like this. And from that triangle, we're actually going to cut a half circle. So I'm going to start right here, go around, and cut a half circle. Try to make it even on both sides. And when I open it up, this is what I get. So we're going to do that with all 4 pieces. So hold on. Alright, I now have 4 pieces that look exactly the same. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we're going to do some cutting on these. We're going to cut out some of the little triangular shapes, ice cream cone shapes, to make some different. So this one I'm just going to cut out 1. Put the 1 off to the side. This one I'm going to cut out 2. This one I'm going to cut out 1, 2, 3. But instead of putting the 3 off to the side, I'm going to keep that right here. And this one I'm going to cut right in half. And we're only going to need half of this one. So we're going to put that one right over there. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to form our layers. So I'm going to take my biggest one with just 1 missing. I'm going to take my white glue. And I'm going to put glue all over that one section. Now remember, you don't need a lot of glue. It'll just squeeze out all over the place. So this is my first section. I'm going to do that with the other ones. All except for the one with the 3 petals. So these are actually the petals. There's another one. Here's the 4. Here's the number 5. Alright, so I want to make sure there's a little bit of a hole in the bottom. So if they don't have a little tiny hole, we're just going to snip off a very, very little bit, just to make a hole in the bottom, just like that. So most of them will have some type of hole. We don't need a very big hole. This one might need a little bit bigger. And this one, number 3. Number 3 is going to be the very center of our flower. So I'm going to once again, put the glue right here on this section. And I'm going to take my piece of pipe cleaner that I'm using as my center. I'm going to put a little curve on the top, just to make it a little thicker right there. And then I'm going to take this and I'm actually going to roll it around the pipe cleaner. Once I get to the other side, I'm going to put some more glue on that one. Just like that. And roll that all the way around, and that's going to make the center of our flower. So you just got to hold it down for a few seconds so that the glue can stay. Alright, once that is all glued down, we're going to take the next size. Alright, now that the glue has stayed on this one, we're going to take the next size up, which would be this one right here. I'm going to drip some glue inside. Not a lot, just a little bit of glue inside. I'm going to put that right down in here. And we're going to squeeze that around a little bit. See how I'm squeezing those bottom edges a little bit? I'm going to do it to the next size. Squeeze it in a little bit. Then the next one. The glue needs to be closer to the bottom, because that's where the paper is going to be sticking together more. And then the last one. Alright, so there's the basis to our flower. So one of the things we want to make sure we do is that the petals don't line up right exactly across from each other. So you can actually turn these a little bit so the petals don't line up. And there's your flower. So this one, these are a little bit smaller because I actually used the origami paper to make these. But you can do whatever size you want. Another step that we need to do is we need to curl the edges. So this one has curled edges. You can see the edges. Very simple thing to do. You can take a pencil, a crayon, popsicle stick, a pencil, anything like that. You're going to actually just curl those around the edge of your, or your, whatever you're using for curling the edges. And that curls the edges down a little bit. So the last thing I need to do for this is I need to give it what's called the sepal. The sepal is the little green, they're kind of they are a type of petal, and they're on the very bottom of a flower. So I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to make a square out of my square. I'm going to make some smaller squares. And then cut it exactly the same way, fold in half, fold it in half, make sure I have the right corner, fold it half one more time. Sepals are skinnier, so I'm going to make a long, thin petal this time. And I'll cut the little edge off right now so I have the hole in the middle. So these are my sepals. And once again, I'm going to cut one of these little guys. I'm going to cut these right down so they're all separated a little bit. So I'm going to actually cut one out of there. And we're going to, once again, glue two of them together, just like this. Gonna put some glue way, way down in the bottom. Put my stem through there. And there I have my steeples, and I'm also going to, sepals. I'm going to actually curl those down a little bit too. So there's one way you can make a flower. Pretty easy. A lot of cutting and gluing. It's a little wiggly, but that's okay. Once all that glue dries, it'll be nice and sturdy. So now we're gonna work on our second type of flower. So hold on while I get that ready. All right, my second type of flower is a tissue paper flower. This is one of my favorite types of flower to make. So you're gonna need a square, or as close to a square as you can get. And the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna fold that in half. We're doing almost the exact same thing we did with the other one. We're gonna fold it in half again. The only difference is we are not going to cut these apart. We need to do one more fold, so where those folded edges are down there, I'm gonna take that and fold it one more time. So all my folds are all in the same place. Here comes the hardest fold of all. So what we're gonna do is put our finger in the middle. We're going to bring up the one side and we're going to overlap. So we're actually going to make a tri-fold, so that means 3 folds. So there's 1, or 3 layers, so there's 1 layer. The second layer is underneath, and I'm actually going to pull this over top, make it even. And when I turn it over, what we're going to have is we're going to have a couple of points, and we're going to be able to see the edge of the tissue paper right here. Now I'm going to cut this. So I can cut it the exact same way I cut the other paper flower. Or I could just, this one I think I'm going to cut into like a heart shape. So I'm going to do my heart shape, just like this. And just like the other ones, I'm going to just nip the very tip of that right off. So when I open this up, I'm going to have 4 pieces again. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the other thing I'm going to need, of course, is a stem. I'm going to use the pipe cleaner again. This one I'm going to make sure I leave a nice little curl on the end. And we're going to actually make our flower right on the stem. So I'm going to take my first piece. I'm going to take my white glue, and not right at the hole, but maybe a ½ an inch away, I'm going to make a circle of glue. Once again, you notice I didn't use a lot of glue, just a little bit. So we're going to take the stem, push it through there, bring the paper almost all the way to the top. See, I've got almost an inch right there. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually squeeze where all that glue is. And as I'm squeezing, I'm actually going to turn it a little bit. So turn and squeeze until that makes, see how that's all nice and squished down together? Don't worry if one side's bigger than the other. It'll all work out in the end. So now I'm going to take the second part, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. About ½ an inch from the hole. Make a circle of glue. Push that right in there. Bring it right to the very edge where they come, and then we're going to squeeze that up there again. Give it a little twist, squeeze. See how that is right there? Alright, here comes another one. There is a hole in there, even though you really can't see it very well, so I'm going to put that right through that hole. Bring it right to that edge right where the other one ended. Squeeze that one up. And one more. And there we go. A really pretty flower. I'm going to show you how to make some variations so they all don't look like this. So hold on while I get some more tissue paper. Alright, so once again we're going to fold the paper in half. Turn it, fold it in half one more time. Where that fold is here, we're going to fold that to the edge. So the folds are down here. Here's my tri-fold again. And then over the edge. So what I'm going to do different this time is I'm just going to cut one big circle. And then I'm going to cut a whole bunch of little lines all the way across. And what this is going to be is actually going to look like a carnation. I'm sorry, it's actually going to look like a carnation. Oh, I got to remember to cut that little tip off that end. So there's this one. And then the last one, I'm going to cut in zigzags. And this one will look a little bit like what's called a zinnia. There we go. You can mix and match colors. You don't have to make your flower the exactly same every time. So we're going to do the exact same thing we did with the pink flower. We're going to curve the end and put our glue on. I'm going to do it on all of them before I get going, just so I can get this together. You can see what a cool looking carnation this is going to be. Alright, so we're going to take our first piece, put it right there, squeeze it up around that little loop I made. Continue on to the next one. Number 3. And number 4. So here's our carnation. We can squish it up a little bit, puff it around. It looks like a little pom-pom. So there's 2 of my flowers. And one more, the zinnia, same thing. Put a little curl on that. Put our glue. Here we go again. So here's the last flower. Like I said, this looks like a zinnia. We have our carnation, and this one looks like a peony. So once I get all these together, look at that nice little bouquet of flowers. You can make a little vase out of maybe a toilet paper tube. We can add this one in here, and my little tiny ones. And look at that, I got a whole bouquet of flowers, and I think maybe Mom would like this for Mother's Day. So, thank you for joining me and making some tissue paper flowers. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you for the New York State Power Authority for funding our programs and our Nature Center. And we hope to see you guys again tomorrow. So you guys have a good afternoon. Goodbye.